Hi guys, Freddy here. How are yous? Because I've had hell of a week. I don't usually book bits at the start of my videos, I like to just stick to the topic. So normally I'd be like, hi, welcome to the desktop for another retro RPG. But I don't tend to do update videos. You see, this week I got up on Monday morning to find my internet connection had been slammed. Apparently slamming is a procedure which usually in the UK you can move your internet account between different companies. But slamming is where an internet company steals your account, basically registering that you're transferring to them, because you then have to deal with them or deal with a 2-week cessation of internet services to get back with the original provider. Which is where I am. I'm trying to get back to my original provider, or because I'd just taken out a new contract with them, I'd have had to pay an 18-month termination of contract with them. It would have cost me a fortune. So I'm without internet at the moment, so I really don't know when this video is going to go up. Fortunately, I tend to do videos 2 weeks ahead. So for 2 weeks after my internet got cut off, you would have had the videos I'd created beforehand. But I'm recording this one to go up the next week, and I don't know when I'm going to have internet. So if there's been a bit of a gap in videos, apologies. It's really not my fault. I'm doing the best I can. You can imagine the hell it is to work on the internet, but then have your internet connection totally taken away. For household things, we're using my mobile phone connection as a router. So we've got basically mobile phone data as our internet connection at the moment. But anyway, let's get on with the show as normal. This week, welcome back to the desktop for another retro RPG. And I would like to present this, Deadlands D20. Now, this is the 2001 release of the Deadlands RPG, which came out in 1996 by Pinnacle. Pinnacle. And this is the D20 version, because in the early 2000s, after 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons had come out and the Open Games license had been released, everything was coming out D20. Now, I can totally understand that with some of the things I've done before, like the Farscape role-playing game, where creating a rule system that people will know and be familiar with and is easy to set up, along with a setting that people might be coming into role-playing for. You know, fans of the show Farscape might want a role-playing game, and you can just get the rules off the shelf with the OGL. But Deadlands already existed. It was a role-playing game. It had its own rules. But they brought out a D20 version, and they did that for so much, because we had a D20 version of Call of Cthulhu. We had D20 everything. Basically, the early 2000s was absolute array of D20 games. And to tell the truth, the D20 system, while 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons is my favourite version of Dungeons & Dragons, using those rules for absolutely anything, not what I would recommend. But let's start looking through the book. Let's start with the back cover, as usual. Welcome to the Weird West. High noon. The hot desert sun shines down on 2 gunslingers. Sweat drips from one's brow. From the other, nothing. His pallid flesh no longer sweats. The gunmen draw, slinging lead like bolts of lightning. When the smoke clears, both men are hit, but one remains standing. Welcome to the weird, wild western world of Deadlands, a role-playing game of western horror. This all-new version of the award-winning, best-selling Deadlands The Weird West brings unlife to the fast action of the original using the D20 system. Inside are rules for playing gunslingers, Indian braves, het-slinging hucksters, the blessed, shamans, mavericks, rowdies, and more. There is also a passel of new spells, steampunk devices, relics, prestige classes, and a weird western bestiary of strange and horrible creatures like the wendigo and awesome Hangin Judge. A few unfortunates might also find their story doesn't end at Boot Hill. This book contains everything you need to play the world of Deadlands or any other western setting using the D20 rules. And it pretty much does, although I have to say that you need the D20 rules. So you need the OGL copy, or you need 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, because the stuff which are referenced in here which are not in the book. Anyway, opening up, we're using the same artwork as from the original Deadlands, which is a nice style. It's slightly cartoonish, but I really like it. Got table of contents and introduction. So, word from the editor. Welcome to the Weird West. So, going through the history of the world. Because Deadlands is set in a world where, as they explored the Americas during the sort of Wild Western period, they discovered ghost rock, a sort of radioactive magical rock. So, part plutonium, part magic. So you can power things from it, but you can also use it to power magic. So weird steampunk-like technology is available. Now we've got the Sioux Nations, because obviously the Indians are more influential in this version of history because they've got access to magic. You know, the ghost dances and all that work as they do in Shadowrun. We've got various monsters and a giant land boat worm whaling on the Great Salt Flats, the city of Los Angeles, the Great Rail Wars. Go West, young man. So it's detailing all the history here and the setting. So it's Wild West with magic and an alternate history. And I love myself some alternate history, and Deadlands is really nice. We've got the character classes and histories. So, races. There is only one race in Deadlands. Human, pretty much. Much knows the basics there. There are different cultures in the Deadlands setting. The civilized nations of the Union and Confederacy, various Indian tribes throughout the West, the Chinese immigrants in the Maze, and so forth. So we've just got one set stats for humans. Humans have no special bonuses or penalties due to their size. And then we've got classes. So we go through multi-classing, class descriptions. We've got the Blessed, so somebody chosen by divine powers, basically a cleric. The Brave, so an Indian warrior. Gunslinger, your standard cowboy, fast at drawing guns. The Huckster, so like a card player, but their cards bring out the magic. So these are the wizards of the Deadlands world. Mad scientists using ghost rock and steampunk inventions to create stuff. Mavericks, rowboat gamblers and saloon girls. Rowdy, rail workers. Scouts, so your ranger type character. A shaman, so another clerical type. One to skills and feats, so it mentions the skills exist. We've tweaked a few of the existing skills to fit the Deadlands setting better, and it goes through those. And it's got new skills, so demolitions, driving, faith, gunplay, hex slinging, mad science, rituals. It goes through the existing feats. It's still quite a fresh book this, so I'm trying to stop it springing. Again, very nice artwork throughout. Equipment. So we're going into guns, how much money you start with. Lots of guns. Lots and lots of guns, as should be right for a cowboy game. We've got armour, general equipment and services. Weird gizmos, so the steampunk gizmo, Gatling pistols, rocket packs, flamethrowers, bulletproof vests. A steam wagon. And the tables with the damage, so a Derringer does 2d6 plus 1. There's a Colt Lightning does 2d4 plus 2. Blowing things all to hell. So a discussion of the rules changes, because Deadlands treats the D20 rules slightly different to introduce various elements of the original role-playing game, fate chips being it one of the things, which are treated very much like inspiration in 5th edition. Called shots, innocent bystanders, because obviously guns can go off past your target and hit somebody, suppressing fire, explosions. We've got vehicles and different maneuvers you can do. So when you're getting chased on your wagon, whether you're skidding it round a corner or crashing it. The art of the duel. So it breaks down the duel into a test of wills when you draw. They've got No Man's Land, which is the Games Masters section, with prestige classes and the Harrowed. The Harrowed are basically zombie characters, people who have been brought back from the dead. A demon is living within them to animate their dead flesh, and they constantly have to fight for control of it. It's a really interesting idea, one I absolutely adore, because it means that your character can get killed off in a Deadlands game, but still play a part, but something new is introduced. So we've got the prestige classes. So after you reach a certain level in another class, you can become an agency operative or a Texas Ranger. The Harrowed. Harrowed powers. Then we're on to the magic system. So it mentions that the spell lists, since most D20 spells are available in Deadlands, we've decided to list those which aren't available. So you do need the original player's handbook to get access to all the spells. It mentions what spells are prohibited, plus all these new ones for the individual classes. Got gifts and guardian spirits. On to mad science with the detailing of ghost rock, creating weird gizmos. The Marshal's Handbook, where we talk about the Reckoners and the fate of the world. Raven coming back, and fear levels, because fear is an element within Deadlands that by doing heroic actions you can reduce the fear of an area and stop the monsters appearing there as much. So heroes in Deadlands are doing much more than just fighting monsters. They're actually creating hope in the world. Class skills, non-player character classes, varmints, critters, treasure, secrets of the Weird West. So the stuff that the players aren't supposed to know as much about. The Battle of Washington, the Great Rail Wars, going into what actually was behind them. Which I think's a bit odd, unless your Games Master's going to be the only one with a rule book, which means there's a lot of passing around when people are casting spells. Everybody's probably going to have one of the rule books if you're playing the game, so there's a lot of background material that you're asking your players not to read. But I would have much preferred that to be in a spin-off book. The Texas Rangers, detailing all the background for those. A tour of the Weird West. Devil's Tower. The Sioux call it Mateo Teepee, or the Lodge of the Grizzly. Devil's Tower suits the place just fine. You never heard of this geological wonder? Devil's Tower is a massive column of rock over 850 feet high. And in the Deadlands Hell on Earth setting, it actually got nuked and is growing back. But in this setting, it's still there. Looks a lot like Vincent Price to me. So we're going through the different areas. The Great Maze. So where California has kind of collapsed into the water, and the Great Maze is all the little rivers between bits of rocks, and that's very much where the ghost rock's found, because it's been opened up. And Mexican Armada, Rogues, and Anna's Crusade. Just so much background here, building up a lovely, lovely world. Very interesting, but still recognisable enough because it's just cowboys. What else we got here? The Indian Territories, Coyote Federation, Dodge City, Kansas, the Law in Dodge. So the sort of classic western town. Life in Dodge, a map of it. Dodge City, Kansas, disputed lands. Different places to go. The Alhambra Saloon. Famous folks. So it's really detailing out a setting that you can use Dodge City for your campaigns. And you've got all the different places you can go, and you've got different characters you can introduce. And we've got the horrors, so a desert thing, devil bats, dust devils, gremlins, hanging judges. It's a lovely image, a sort of ghostly guy with scythe blades attached to his pistols. It's very cool. Maze dragons, prairie ticks, rattlers, so unearthly rattlesnakes, tumbleweed, so a tumbleweed with hooks that can damage you, tummy twister, the walking dead, wall crawlers, wendigos, white wendigos, flying wendigos. And then we're on to the end, the magic of relics. So relics are items which have gained power. So if a famous gunman gets shot down with his pistol in his hand and everybody talks about the pistol, then that pistol has become a relic and gains extra power. So we've got Bowie's last knife. Jim Bowie had this knife in his hand when he was killed by Santa Anna's troops at the Alamo. Cortez's sword, Crazy Horse's coup stick, Dead Man's bullets, Dreamcatcher's, Wyatt Earp's badge, Hellstrom's blueprints, Harden's cards, Hoyle's cards, Hoyle's book of games, a judge's guns, Los Diablos skull. Just magical items, essentially, but with a grisly backstory to them. And then we're on to the dispatch. So we're talking about the different things within the Deadlands role-playing game. So Hell on Earth, the Lost Colony role-playing, Great Rail Wars, miniatures, fiction, Range Wars, GURPS Deadlands. So they brought a GURPS version as well as the D20. The Deadlands computer game, which I don't actually remember. I'll have to look that one up. A product list, and then the character sheet at the end. Very D20-like, so we've got the standard stats, skills, hit points. Space for lots of spells. Pages. Oh, an index. The OGL. Licensing information, an errata. And that's it. So, Deadlands D20, an absolutely gorgeous setting, but I don't really know why it was released, because there was no need for a separate game. I don't know whether D20 did help these games off, or whether it just diluted the market somewhat. Or maybe the people who bought Deadlands went out and bought this as well, so lots of people had multiple copies. But anyway, I think I've ranted on for quite long enough. Many thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment below, as it really helps me out with the Google algorithms. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later sometime. Bye now.